Hello and welcome to the United Community Channel, and we are back with another match preview. And on the back of what's been a disappointing week for United, a disappointing performance and result against Newcastle. But we've got plenty to talk about tonight, guys. We're going to get into a couple of different areas of the pitch that we want to talk about. We're going to discuss the opposition. We're going to do our predicted 11, and we're going to give a score prediction as well at the end. But great to see people in. Please smash a like on the video if you're new. Hit the subscribe button. But we'll jump straight into it. And I suppose, look, obviously, huge game for Manchester United, and this shouldn't be as big of a game as it is, basically. It's become a very, very important game on the back of such a poor performance and result against Newcastle on the weekend. And look, I think it is. We're coming into a part of the season where we really, really need to be peaking. You know what I mean? And Ten Hag said it before the Newcastle game last week that every game from now until the end of the season is a cup final, basically. And he's right, and I do agree with him. And look, I think Manchester United, in the space of 4 days, have gone from comfortably being in the top four to being outside it. Now, look, obviously we do have games in hand, but it just goes to show how little you can take your foot off the accelerator. And if you lose concentration and you go on the tiniest of bad runs between now and the end of the season, you could find yourself outside the top four. And look, we all know, as Manchester United fans, how important top four is for us and for our redevelopment and for our, progression under Ten Hag. We want to be attracting the top players, and to attract the top players, you have to be in the Champions League. You just have to be in the Champions League. Great to see people in, guys. Ben is there. Oshin is in. Chris is there as well. Good to see you guys. But yeah, let me know your thoughts as we go on. We're going to start with an area, and I'm going to keep this short and sweet as well, guys. About a half an hour, because I've actually got a game to play myself, so I've got to run. But we're going to talk first and foremost about our striker options, and obviously this has been an area of concern for us over the last, few weeks and months. And obviously with Weghorst, not doing the business in relation to scoring goals, and Anthony Martial not doing the business in relation to staying bloody fit. So, look, if it was me, I think we have to drop Weghorst. I just do. I like him. I like his work rate. I like his effort. There's been a lot of focus on him in the last few days since the Newcastle game. And look, we're not kidding ourselves, really. He's not good enough to be playing for Manchester United. He's a stopgap to get us to the end of the season. And I think if Martial could have stayed fit, since Christmas to now, Weghorst's game time would be majorly limited. I really do think that. So look, I think it's an area of concern for Manchester United. Obviously, if we look at Weghorst's stats here, and they don't bode well. They really don't. And obviously, this is Manchester United we're looking at. So 19 games for Manchester United, 2 goals, 2 assists, and that one there is a yellow card. So 2 goals and 2 assists in 19 games for Manchester United, leading the lines, is not good enough. It just isn't. But in saying that, I don't like to be overly negative on on players, as much as I can. I've said my piece. He's not good enough for Manchester United, but I do think he has helped us in certain ways throughout his tenure as a Manchester United player. Would Rashford have as many goals if he wasn't playing the way he was playing? Probably not. He's able to play in the 10, which arguably people aren't too happy with Bruno being pushed out on the right hand side, Rashford through the middle. It does give us different options that way. But if we're looking at goals and goals alone, what a striker should be judged on, he's nowhere near good enough. You know what I mean? He really isn't. And look, I think it's something that we all know as fans. And look, bring on the summer transfer window, and get that number 9 in the door that we need. Whether it sounds like it's going to be Harry Kane that they're going to go all out for, whether it's Harry Kane, whether it's Victor Osimhen, whether it's Ramos, whether it's Muani, whoever it may be, we need a goal scorer. Could you imagine, and I'm going to get on to the opposition in a minute, but take Ivan Toney for Brentford, for example. He's got 17 goals this season. Now, could you imagine putting another 17-goal striker into this Manchester United team? We would be challenging for the league title. We really would, So that just goes to show how important goals are. It really does. Ben says, I think the plus side is competition for Wout, and we all know next season will be different, hopefully. Exactly. And that's what we're saying. And look, we have to judge him on goals. We really do. And I think, look, it's like what I said. 2 goals is not good enough, throughout the season. It's just not. And it will change in the summer, of course it will. Will he stay around maybe on a 1-year deal as a backup? Maybe so. I think if we get the players in that we need to get in, and that Ten Hag wants to get in, then I think his game time will be drastically limited. He will probably make up that decision himself, maybe on the back of who Manchester United actually sign in the summer. But, it's pretty obvious we do need a number 9. But there you go. I mean, you look at, like we just said there, if you add a 15-goal a season striker to what we've already scored this season with the likes of Rashford and, doing well. Anthony has chipped in with a few goals. Bruno, you're challenging for a league title. You really are. Now, that doesn't mean that we sign a number 9 next year and we're going to be challenging. There's still, a lot of things that have to fall well. Can Rashford keep up his good form? Can Bruno keep up the, goal involvements, whether it be goal or assists? Can Anthony up his game and get more goals? 8, in his first season. I'm happy with it, I have to say. But, look, let's see what happens. Alex says, will you be streaming Chelsea versus Liverpool? I won't, Alex, I'm afraid. I've got a game to play myself, so I'll be out, I'm afraid. Oshin says, Wout was never long-term. Stopgap, who was only brought in because it was a small loan fee in comparison to the purchase we required. Good squad cup player. I absolutely agree with you, Oshin. Yeah, I really do. And this comes down to the Glazers, and I don't want to sound like one of these fans that, when it's going well, it's all Ten Hag's, doing, and when it's all going wrong, it's the Glazers' fault. But that's because that's not always the case. And Ten Hag, did make some pretty obvious mistakes on the weekend. But if you're looking at, if we got in a striker in in January, when we needed one, Ten Hag knew, you know what I mean? Martial is he's got ankles like chocolate, and Ronaldo ran out the door as quick as he could, and we didn't replace either of them, even though Martial is still there, and as good as Wout Weghorst, may seem in fans' eyes, he's a bit of a cult hero. He's not good enough. So yeah, look, outside of that position, I think it pretty much should be similar, but we'll get into my predicted 11 in a few minutes. Let's talk about the opposition, guys. And obviously, it's going to be a difficult game. It really is going to be a difficult game with what we're looking at, and obviously their main threat when it comes to going forward is Ivan Toney. You see him there, and if we've been talking about goals that we're not scoring basically with Weghorst through the middle. We look at Ivan Toney, for example, this season. Completely different in relation to his stats. 18 goals and 5 assists in 28 appearances. Now that is good from a striker, and a striker playing for Brentford, and that's I think if he hadn't got this betting allegation against his name, we would be hearing him being linked with an awful lot of clubs in the summer. But I think the majority of clubs are probably going to stay away from him until the end of that hearing, because he could be in for a 6-month ban or whatever it may be, and clubs are not going to commit to a player that has that hanging over him. But just doing some of the research on Brentford, I took down a few notes, and in terms of researching into him, and as we know, they compress the pitch really, really well. You know what I mean? And like even when they're playing, so-called better opposition in relation to Manchester United, and obviously they beat us already this season. But even when they're playing in a low block, they do compress the pitch very well, and they tend to force the opposition to go wide. Now, that may or may not suit us. I think, when we go wide, I think when you're being forced wide, I think it's more beneficial to have wingers on the right side, so a right footed on the right side and a left footer on the left side. And as you know, we play the opposite. We play inverted wingers. Anthony is left footed on the right hand side. Rashford is right footed on the left hand side. So this is an area that I think we need to be on it, and it's not going to affect my starting 11 prediction in relation to who I think will start on the wing, because I think them two players are going to start on the wing. I think you can't drop Rashford, and Anthony was probably our best player on Sunday, even though he got substituted. So it's going to be interesting. I would like to see the likes of Anthony get to the end line, and get his crosses in with his right foot, commit to using his right foot as much as he can, trust himself to do it. But then obviously we know he can be very dangerous when he cuts in on his left as well. And we know what Rashford is like on the other side also. But when it comes to Brentford, they do defend very well. They like to get as many players as they can behind the ball, and they like to basically play on the counter attack. Now they're lightning quick on the counter attack. They really are, and it's not going to be easy for Manchester United. And obviously we have this stigma over. Well, not a stigma, but we have this kind of cloud over us that they beat us already this season. But what I would be saying now is, okay, we're after having a very disappointing result against Newcastle and a very even worse performance. Let's go out and make a statement here and go out and put them to the sword, and put them to the sword early. And in turn, what that might do is they're playing Newcastle United on the weekend. They'll have their backs up after it if we give them a good fucking trimming, and let them on to Newcastle then, and hopefully they can do something for us, in relation to that fixture there. And because obviously we're both fighting for top four. So, I think it's important we go out and really go at them. Because if we go out with the attitude and the desire that we did against Newcastle, it's going to be a very long day. It's going to be a very, very long day, I have to say. Let's see what people are saying here. Chris is in, butchered this guy. I think he made a bet on the game. We cannot start with Weghorst again. Ben says, Brentford is a good footballing side. I'm just hoping us being at home is a bonus. Exactly. We haven't been good away from home, but we've been pretty damn good at home, so let's hope we can continue that. Oshin says Brentford hammered us. They didn't just beat us, they hammered us less than 6 months ago. They'll have zero fear against United. Without Casemiro, most of the 11 will be the same that played that day. I agree. I have to agree with Oshin. Let's hope the mindset has improved since then, though. And I know we're coming off the back of a disappointing result. But, the one thing I would say is that any time we've gone and lost and had a bad performance, and I said it at the end of the live the other night, when we lose, we bloody well lose. It's a good trimming we get. But the one thing I would say, we tend to bounce back quickly, and that's credit to Ten Hag and the players. So let's hope that's the situation on the weekend again. Chris says, no one is there for the crosses. Aaron Wan-Bissaka better start. Yeah, so according to reports today, he is over his illness. So I would be in favour of starting him ahead of Dalot, I have to say. And it's been interesting to see throughout the last few days that reports are still suggesting that he is going to stick with Dalot over Wan-Bissaka. And if offers do come in for Wan-Bissaka in the summer, then he's going to let him go. Of course, there's been reports that we've been linked with Frimpong as well. So, but yeah, look, I mean, the manager sees these players day in, day out. So, and again, he's earned that trust as well. If we don't show any fire in this game, we're going to be in trouble. And I really think Ten Hag needs to make some tactical changes. Says Chris, yeah, there we go. Well, look, the one thing I would say is, and actually, do you know what? We'll get into it in the predicted 11. So I'm going to do my predicted 11, guys. We'll bring them up on the screen one by one. Hope you like the new graphics. Spent a lot of the day doing them up. Let me know if you'd prefer it or you don't prefer it. But we're going to do the this is what I would play. So this is the team I would like to see. So look, obviously David De Gea in the goal. We're going to go with a back four of, let me just put them up on the screen. No, there we go. Back four, Wan-Bissaka, Luke Shaw, Varane and Martinez. Now look, Varane and Martinez, no questions. Luke Shaw, again, no questions. The right back area is the area that, you know, it's been an area of contention this season, you would have to say. You know, Dalot started the season really, really well, had a really positive first half of the season, right up until the World Cup. But he got a bit of an injury, didn't he, at the World Cup, and he was injured after the return, and he never really found the type of, you know, the level of performance that he had post-World or pre-World Cup. So I'm going for Wan-Bissaka. I think Wan-Bissaka should play the majority of the games between now and the run-in. I think we've been giving away far too many easy goals. I think he's a better defender than Dalot. We know, obviously, his shortcomings are going forward. But I think, you know, every team is built on a strong and a solid defensive foundation, you know, and I think Wan-Bissaka gives us a better option there. I really do. Get your predicted 11s in, guys. Let me know what you think. Chris is saying De Gea, Wan-Bissaka, Varane, Shaw, Malacia, Martinez, CDM, Fred and Bruno, Rashford, Martial and Anthony. Okay, there we go. So my three in midfield, guys, to move it on, I'm going with Fred, Sabitzer and Bruno. I think this is our best midfield of what we've got available. Obviously, we know Casemiro is suspended and Eriksen is still injured. Now, there is talks of Eriksen being available next weekend. So, you know, the sooner we can get him back, the better. But I think so far, this is our best, you know, or what we've got at the moment. This is our best midfield. I don't want to see Scott McTominay anywhere near the team. I don't care how many goals he gets at international level. I don't care if he, you know, becomes the fucking president of Scotland. You know, what? I don't care. He's not good enough. He hides behind. He doesn't take the ball off the defence. His first touch is poor. His energy levels are good, and his passion, his desire, and all that kind of stuff. Outside of that, he's not good enough. And I've said it for a long time now. I thought Fred always got the short end of the stick when it came to the criticism of Fred and McTominay playing together. So I want to see Fred playing. I want to see... Now, Sabitzer didn't, you know, blow me away on the weekend. You know, nobody did. We were poor all over. But I would like to see Fred in there. He tends to get on the ball a bit more. Fred can have an unbelievable performance or a terrible performance. McTominay doesn't really have unbelievable performances. You know what I mean? So... but yeah, that's the midfield that I'm going with, guys. And look, I think again, like last weekend, and I said it before the game last weekend, that I think the midfield battle is going to be vitally important. It's going to be vitally important again tomorrow night. I really do. And if we go in, you know, you can't just rely on your quality all the time. Sometimes you have to just put the effort in and work your bollocks off, you know, and we didn't do that on Sunday. And if we go out with that same attitude against Brentford tomorrow night, we're in big trouble. We really are. So look, I think Fred will give us more of that in the midfield. We know Bruno's work rate is phenomenal, even though his quality sometimes can frustrate the life out of you, giving the ball away and things like that. And Sabitzer does work hard as well, you would have to say. I think he has to improve his end game, his end product a little bit also. But if you're asking me for a starting 11 or a 3 in midfield, from what we've got available, that's pretty much it for me. 2 players on the wing then. I'm going with Rashford on the left and Anthony on the right. Obviously, I don't see why we would change either of them. I think, obviously, Rashford is he's just undroppable pretty much. And Anthony was probably our best player on Sunday, and I was very surprised to see him being substituted. I really was. Look, Anthony's getting a lot of stick, and he's the type of player that is going to get a lot of stick just because of the way he plays, and people will focus on it, on a bit of skill that he does, or a bit of showboating maybe that he might do. But the one thing I would say about him is he's always available for the ball. He's always looking for the ball, and I think he progresses the ball very well up the field. He's always, now if you flip it to the opposite and look at Jadon Sancho, for example, frustrates the life out of me. Builds up a head of steam with the ball at his feet, but once he gets to a defender, he slows down, and it frustrates the life out of me. Anthony, on the other hand, he goes at fullbacks fast, he keeps the pace up, which I do like, and he does also track back quite well as well. His energy levels are good. Look, he knows more than anyone else what Ten Hag wants, because he played for him last season, and look, 8 goals and a few assists in his first season, I think, is a good return so far, and there's a good bit to go yet. We've got 11 games to go, so I'm happy with him so far, and I think he deserves to be in that spot, in that position ahead of Sancho. I'm running out of patience with him, I have to say. And up front then, guys, we're going with Anthony Martial. Again, look, we mentioned it at the start of the video. I don't think Wout Weghorst is good enough, and I know we've said before, but Martial can get injured. Well, look, if he's going to get injured, he's going to get injured. You might as well play him today or tomorrow and let him get injured, rather than wrapping him up in cotton wool, and he'll still get injured, 2 weeks down the line when you decide to play him. We need him now, and we need him to score a few goals. And yeah, I mean, even the little cameo that he had on Sunday, I was impressed with him. And I think, look, I think it has to be done. We need somebody to score goals up there in the number 9. And Martial can drop out in, deep as well, and his link-up play is quite good. But if you put him in the box, he can also score, so let's hope he does that. Let's see what people are saying here. The bench tomorrow night will be interesting. No depth, says Oshin. Exactly. And look, what were we saying? God, for months, lads, all of us were kind of saying the same thing. That if we get a few injuries, our squad depth is really, really poor. And look, Eriksen is injured. Casemiro is suspended. All of a sudden, where's the depth? You know what I mean? It's not there. You're relying on younger players and things like that. I think we've got depth at the back. We've got 2 right backs. We've got 2 left backs. We've got 4 centre backs. I was going to say 3.5. You know who I'm on about. Centre midfield, I think, is where we need to bulk up, and then obviously our number 9 position. So yeah, absolutely. Chris says we have never had depth. Ben says I don't agree with it, but Ten Hag might start the same 11 he normally does to see a reaction from them. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that happens, Ben. I wouldn't be in favour of it. Chris says, Ben, this is my problem with Ten Hag at the moment. We have become predictable in our squad. Well, look, I think we've become predictable because we don't have any other options. You know what I mean? We don't have the squad to, change too much. I think we are a little bit unpredictable at times when, you don't know what player is going to play where. Is Rashford going to play on the left? Is he going to play through the middle? Is Bruno going to play in the 10, or is he going to play in the 8, or is he going to play wide right? Is Weghorst going to drop deep? So there is a bit of unpredictability to us, but our formation stays the same. But the majority of teams now don't change formations. Look at Arsenal, look at City, look at Liverpool, look at anybody. Their formation tends to pretty much stay the same. But I think once we get a few new players in the door in the summer, it'll allow us to probably look at different options, and it'll feel like we don't play the same way all of the time. Patrick says, I've been saying since day one Weghorst wasn't good enough. So yeah, look, That's my starting. That's my predicted 11, guys. Let me know yours in the comments below. What ye would go with. But look, I think it's going to be really interesting. It's going to be, a really interesting game, and I'm looking forward to it. I have to say. Now let's have a look at a score prediction. So if we're talking about a score prediction for the game tomorrow night, look. We haven't scored a lot of goals. We haven't. We haven't. We know that. Our goal difference is +4, which is a worrying statistic. But the one saving grace we have tomorrow night is that we're playing at home in Old Trafford, and we've played relatively well. Let me know your score predictions in the comments below, guys. But me personally, I'm going to go with a 2-0 win to Manchester United. I think we're going to have a reaction. I really do. I think we're going to have a reaction on the back of last week. I think if we don't, I'll be worried. I'll start to get really worried if we don't, because every time we've had a disappointing result this season, we tend to bounce back relatively quick. So if we don't bounce back on Wednesday, tomorrow night, I'm going to be getting worried. But I think we will. I think the standards that Ten Hag has set, the demands he set, the fact that a lot of our players have got a bit of a rest over the international break, they didn't really work themselves on the weekend. So I think I just have a feeling we're going to get a reaction. I really do. Chris says 1-1. Oshin says it's going to be very tight. Might be 1-1 as well. So there we go. But yeah, look, I mean, I'm going to be confident going into the game. Not confident, I'm going to be positive going into the game. Ben says, I'm going to go 3-1 United and hopefully see a worldie. Please God, Ben, you're going to be at it, I think, aren't you? But yeah, I'm going to go 2-0 to United. I think we defend quite well at Old Trafford. Our record is good there. So I'm going to go with a clean sheet, and I'm going to go with goals from Anthony Martial and Marcus Rashford. So yeah, that is my score prediction, guys. If he starts McTominay in that midfield, Brentford's pace in there will kill him, and we'll be in trouble. Exactly, I agree with Joshin 100%. If McTominay plays, our likelihood of winning this game tomorrow night drastically lowers, and that's the worry all of the time. It really is. So look, let's see what happens. I don't know. Let's hope we can put on a good performance. Let's hope we get a reaction after last week, and let's hope that we come out with 3 points, because God damn it, we need them. And after last weekend, all of a sudden we're back in a top 4 race. I still think we're going to get top 4, but I think it's going to be a lot more difficult than it should be. But look, our running is decent. I wouldn't swap our running for any of our competitors. So it all comes down to the players now and the performances that they want to put in and the effort they want to give. We're in the business end of the season, and you got to put in some top-notch performances if you want to get something out of it. But look, it's going to be interesting to see what happens, guys. I'm really looking forward to it. Like I said, we'll be doing a watch along for the game tomorrow night. I think the game kicks off at, let me check it here, I think it's 8 o'clock. Because usually we're a half an hour before. So yeah, 8 o'clock. So we'll be live from 7:30 tomorrow night, guys. Doing a live watch along. Please hit the thumbs up button for me if you haven't done so already. Thanks for all the comments. If you're new to the channel, please do hit the subscribe button. And if you're watching this back later, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'd love to hear them, and I'll respond to as many as I can. But I appreciate it, guys. Until tomorrow night, take it easy.